Hey, how are you? How's the prospecting going? We're in week 3, so you've had at least 1 week of being completely in action around prospecting. And I'm really just interested to check in and see how you're doing. Obviously, this is a pre-recorded video, so we're not interactive and you're not going to answer it to me right now. But answer it to yourself. How are you doing? You could also go into the Facebook group and post over there, because it is interactive and you could have some good responses and you could stimulate some good conversation around that. As per usual, please grab your pens, pencils, paint brushes, rent your plane with skywriting mechanisms, whatever you need to do. Just take notes during the session. I ask some questions that might appear that they're kind of interactive, me asking you right now, but not getting answers. But the questions are really questions that you should be asking yourself. I ask you, but you should be asking yourself. So don't let them appear and disappear. Allow them to come onto your radar and spend some time answering them. Not just right now in the session, because I don't give you time for that, but write them down, take them with you, and spend some time responding to my questions, because my questions, which you then take on as your questions and ask yourself, help with your prospecting growth and development. So spend some time with them. Okay. Last week, because it was an action week, well, these are all action weeks now, but it was your first of the 6-week support periods of period of which you were in action. What worked and what didn't work? Spend some time thinking about it. Write that down now. What worked and what didn't work? Spend some time thinking about it and analyzing what you could do differently. If it's broken, fix it. If it didn't feel comfortable, how can you make it feel comfortable? All right? If something didn't work, don't go on to week 4 or this week 3 and just continue as you were, because it's insane prospecting. You're not insane, right? You want to become an insane prospector. To let something that doesn't work continue to not work is insane, and that's not what we're working toward here. By the way, just a note, you should be exhausted. 21 modules, a week consolidating, and a week of action. You should be exhausted. Prospecting was, maybe now or becoming, but it was not naturally within your fiber of who you are. That's why you took this course, because you wanted to learn to be a better prospector. I once chose to learn another language, so I went overseas and I lived in a foreign country. I lived with people that didn't speak English, and every day I went to language school for 4 hours a day, and then went back home. Thank goodness it was Spain and we had siestas because I needed them, but I continued to be in an environment with people that didn't speak English. It was the most tiring period of my life. It was so exhausting because of the work that I had to do. But literally within a month, I was able to communicate in a language that I did not know by any means when I began. This growth is demanding and it is exhausting and it will take its toll. So if you're feeling tired, that's great. It means that you're doing the work. It means that you are breaking through the ceiling of complexity. It means that you are moving along this path, your journey toward being a better prospector. Don't be despondent because you feel tired. Simply get enough sleep. Have a coffee if you want, but get enough sleep. You know how much sleep you need to be strong and energized to do what you need to do. So if you're feeling tired, if you're feeling exhausted, get enough sleep. If you have to, I'm not kidding, take a nap in the middle of the day. Do what you have to have enough energy, not through stimulants. Again, you're welcome to have your coffee, but don't raise your numbers of coffee and don't start drinking Red Bull several times a day because you're tired. Get sleep. That's what's going to support you. You should be landing some first meetings now. You may not have had the first meetings. If you have, that's fantastic. But through the approach, connect, invite model, you should be securing those first meetings by now. They should be diarized. And if you have, very well done to you. If you haven't, you need to up the ante, because that should be happening. You should have first meetings in your diary. At this stage, you might be struggling with the invite aspect. In my experience, approach and connect can be tough enough. But then when you're connecting with someone and you need to bridge it to the business conversation, you might get stuck once again. Go back to the module on invite and have a look at the bridging language. I give you a lot of suggestions about how you can do that. And it's really locking onto the conversation or dropping in and using some aspects of the conversation as a leverage to then bridge into the business conversation. Go and revisit the skills that you learned and practice that in your conversations with potential clients. Did you hit your numbers? I'm talking about approaches. So, the first will come, but did you hit your numbers around approaches? If not, you have to look at why. What's getting in your way? What's holding you back? Is it you? Is it the skill? It's going to be something about you. And only you can answer that question. And whatever the answer is, you need to go back to whichever module it is and revisit the work and revisit the skill and continue to develop that skill. Don't let it go, because before you know it, you will have fallen behind on the program. And if you fall behind on the program, you will fall behind with prospecting in general. This is about the action of taking what you know and turning it into doing, right? Okay, and the being part is your essence that drives your doing. Did your event invitations go out? If you're running an event, I have no doubt that they went out, because we are week on, we're in week 3 and you had a week to do that. So you should be vigorously following up on those invitations, and you should be determinately planning this event, because you now have probably less than 3 weeks. In fact, the event is going to happen. You've got under 3 weeks until the event is to be delivered. So you planned the event, you sent out the invites, you should be following up on those invitations, and you should be planning the execution of the event. In other words, the delivery of it. All right, so get really stuck into that this week. Make sure that you remain in action around everything that you've committed to in your plan. You don't want to fall out of the doing. You don't want to kind of fall into the prospecting trap that you may have found yourself in before you started the course. You have done so much work up until now. Lean on that work, lean on the skills you've developed, lean on the capacity that you've built, lean on the confidence that you have attained as a result of all of this, and keep it going. Don't forget about the structure and the routine. Don't forget about, if you've printed everything out and scribbled all over it, the masses of content that you have that you can always go back to and lean on and lean into and take, so that you can keep fueling yourself with whatever it is that you need to continue on this journey. You can, although we're in week 3, you can make changes to your goals and your activity. If you need to, you can make changes. You can tweak things that are inaccurate, but if you're making changes to goals, like I said before, they should be up. The likeliness, almost all the time. In fact, I don't think I've ever experienced it where it's not what I'm about to say. The likeliness is that you set your goals too low. Very few people set their goals too high. So if there is a need to adjust the goals, whether it be around the business or personal goals or around the activity goals, you probably need to adjust them up. Again, and I know I've said it before, but I feel I need to repeat this. The bigger the goal, the bigger the required action that you will take in pursuit of that goal. I said that I'm going to ask you some questions. So if you are digitally taking notes, get your fingers ready. If you are scribbling with a pen on paper, grab that pen. And these questions are for you. I want you to go away, repeat them to yourself, and seek the answers within yourself. How is the value proposition? In other words, how is your elevator pitch going? You may have been trying it and then you needed to adjust it. Of course, the elevator pitch gets adapted on the fly from person to person, situation to situation. But how's it going? If well, then that's fantastic. Keep it up. If it could be better, well, figure out what you need to do to make it better and make that change. It could be the pace at which you speak. It could be the tone of voice. It could be the shirt that you wear. It could be the lighting on your Zoom call. Figure it out. This is the time to improve it. How are those excuses coming along? Are you busting them? Are you refraining from getting in your own way? If you're noticing these things come up, and I invited you to notice without judgment or criticism, then how has the noticing led to an adjustment in your action around these? And now that you're well within the action around the model of approach, connect, invite, are you receiving objections? And if so, how are you handling them? It's not a bad thing to receive objections as long as you remember that the prospect is objecting to your proposal and not to you. But then my question is, how are you handling them? Are the words coming out smoothly? Are you maintaining frame of mind? Are you keeping a check on your emotions? Are you giving yourself enough time to come back with a verbal response with one of the two or both strategies that I suggested to you? Are the objections that you're getting falling within my document of objections that I have experienced myself or through other people? Or are you also, or in addition to, experiencing objections that aren't there? And if so, add them to the list and come up with your own responses to those objections. Again, leaning on those two strategies. Practice them in your own head. The words won't come out exactly. Don't learn them verbatim, because that you rarely have the opportunity to do that. It's more about a way of responding, but practice it in your head so that some version of that practiced response comes out when you're in the situation. What are you not doing that you should be doing? Be honest with yourself. In module 21, after the Mark Keating interview, I said that this honesty and transparency that we had around prospecting in that conversation is something that you have to have in the way of a conversation with yourself on a regular basis. And this is the time, in week 3, this is the time to have that honest, transparent, direct conversation with yourself. You know whether you're not doing something that you need to be doing. So be honest. Have a conversation with yourself. You're your own boss in this respect. Figure out what it is, what's going on, and how to get around it. Because if you need to be doing it, well, you got to figure out a way. What is it that you need to let go of? You can refer back to the module on mindset, and you may have discovered some things there, but you might also have discovered something in the last 2 weeks. Is there something that you're holding on to that's holding you back that you need to let go of? Is it that thing that came up in the mindset module, or is it something new? Whatever it is, just bring your awareness to it once again. What is it that you need to let go of? Don't put too much pressure on yourself to let go. There's no finger pointing. You have to let go of it. Just bringing your awareness to it will result in your letting go of it. Okay, there's no rush. This will work itself through in time. The most important thing is your observation of this. And this is a question that may require you to dig quite deep and do some really introspective thinking. What do you need to create to support you? We've spoken a lot about what is there and you need to move away from. Even the narratives are the prospector that is me versus the prospector that I want to be. But now I'm asking you what you need to create in addition to, aside from everything else. What do you need to create? Is it something intangible, like a thought or a feeling? Or is it something systematic, a spreadsheet, a process? Whatever it is, it needs to support you. What is that? What are they? Maybe more than one thing. If it's anything, and there will probably be something, you're only in your 3rd week, then go and create it. Don't get complicated around it. Just go and create the simplest version of it that you can. How's it going with those 10 named individuals that you want as clients? Remember, I don't challenge you to just challenge you. I challenge you to grow you and to have you successful and to have you get new clients. So I'm not going to forget about this. Have you worked them into your strategy? Have you worked them into your prospecting plan? And have you started to contact them? And how many approaches have you made? Have you connected with them? Have you invited them into a conversation? How many first meetings have you created or secured with those 10 named people? And on that note, what about the challenge I gave you in the 21st module around those 5 people that you have had a conversation with over the last 12 months, but you held back from following up on? I challenged you to call them that same day, or at least the day afterwards, if it was the end of the day. Did you call them? How did it go? If you didn't call them or it didn't go well, what do you learn from it? Remember, I said that it's fine if you get a no, because then you know. I just don't want this gray area sitting on the fence stuff. At least if it's a no, you can move on. Take them off your prospecting pipeline or put them on another sheet, which goes like, lost opportunities that you can invite to an event one day. There's always, even a lost opportunity can be an opportunity. But at least you know it's a no, right? For me, I say it's a no for now. I'll come back to you in one way or another time. Let's not get complicated though. If it's a yes, that's fantastic. You're going for the yes. Congratulations if you got yeses. Congratulations if you got no's. At least you know. How are you feeling right now? Exhausted? Great. But optimistic, confident, positive? Great. Scared? Fearful? Great. Any of those emotions are great. Negative? Not good. If you're negative, get onto the Facebook group and whatever's causing you to be negative, put it out there. Let the group support you in that and help you to move over from negative, not just to positive, but to optimistic. That's really where we want to be, because positive can be temporary. It's the opposite of negative, which hopefully is temporary. It's the optimism, the light at the end of the tunnel, the firm belief that everything will be okay. Use that Facebook group. It's designed with intention, and you and everyone else that's taking this course is invited to participate so that you can support one another in exactly this way. Okay, good. So that's week 3. All the best in this week. Stay in action. Keep going through the approach, invite, connect model. Get those first meetings. Stay in action. Do not deviate. If you catch yourself deviating, do what you need to bring yourself back. I will see you in a week.